Before you click off of this video, let me ask you this. How did you get here? You probably did it by typing YouTube into your browser and somehow through that you found my video. Now imagine if we got in your computer today, your websites are working fine, but then when you went to type in YouTube, the page wouldn't load. And no matter what you did, you couldn't get the page to load, or maybe it loaded so incredibly slow that it was basically impossible to use. So after some time, you contact your network service provider and explain to them the situation. You say, I've been able to use other websites, but YouTube will not work for me today. What's going on? And they say, oh, well, you haven't paid for that package. You say, what do you mean? They say, you haven't paid to be able to use YouTube. So how would you have ever gotten to this video? Hello everyone, my name is Finfante, and that intro was probably not very good. I didn't script anything, I kind of just turned the camera on and started talking, so sorry if that was a little confusing and a little poorly constructed, but you know, I just wanted to get right to the point here about something really important, which is net neutrality. Now I know I'm really late on this issue, being that this is being put in effect on December 14th, but it's an extremely important issue, and if you're someone who uses the internet, which you clearly are if you're watching this video, it concerns you, and if you don't know about it, I really think you should stick along for just a few minutes and learn about what could potentially change the internet as we know it. So recently the chairman of the FCC, Ajit Pike, I believe I'm saying his name correctly, set out to abolish net neutrality. So what net neutrality is a law that states that cable companies must treat all data on the internet the same, that they can't pick and choose what data runs faster, they can't prioritize certain websites over other websites. It states that when you pay for the internet is free, you're allowed to go wherever you want, and everything really runs as fast as it can under your plan. So why is net neutrality important, and why should you care about this issue? Well, let's go back to my beginning example with YouTube, when I was talking about the page not loading, and I'll explain that to you. Now you can replace YouTube with any website that you can think of in this situation. On December 14th, this example could become a reality, and it could be something that you could experience. As I said, net neutrality states that service providers must treat all data the same. That means that when you pay for an internet plan, you are just paying to use the internet, and from then on it is free. You are allowed to go wherever you want, you're allowed to visit whatever website you want, you're allowed to roam as freely as you please. If net neutrality were to be abolished, then that means that service providers are allowed to say, hey, in order to use this website, you have to pay us X amount. In order to use this website, you have to pay us X amount, which means to use YouTube, you may have to pay, I don't know, $5. To use Facebook, you may have to pay $10, any increment of money, doesn't matter. If net neutrality were to be abolished, then your service provider would be allowed to tell you that you are allowed to look at what they say you are allowed to look at. It doesn't matter that you paid to be able to use the internet. What matters now is, oh, you want to use this website? Well, you're going to pay us this much. If you want to do this, you have to pay us this much. And if you don't, what are they going to do? So right off the bat, it's a way for service providers to make a lot more money off the internet. Now this really isn't my biggest issue with it. You know, I don't really care if somebody wants to make money. I'm okay with a company, you know, or a business trying to build their financial status. You know, this all goes a lot deeper than having to pay money to visit certain websites. The service provider is now allowed to dictate what content you can and can't see. And what does that mean? Now, Markiplier actually made a really good point on this in his video called We Have to Stop This, I'm pretty sure it's called. Now, whether you're a fan of Markiplier or not, it doesn't really matter. He made a video about net neutrality. It was one of the first that I watched that got me interested in the subject, and if you care about this issue, I definitely recommend checking that out. The point I'm talking about is that this allows the service providers to control what content we can and can't see. And when you control what content people can and can't see, you control what information they do and don't have access to. When you control information, you control people's thoughts. If net neutrality is to be abolished, you are opening a door to these network providers to choose who can and can't see what. To even say, oh, well, you can only do this if you have this much money. So first of all, you're putting a divide between people who can and can't afford tons of websites, or whatever website the service provider is saying you have to pay money for. You're giving the service provider complete control over what you are allowed to see. Complete control over what websites you are allowed to use, how efficiently they run. You're signing away your freedom on the internet. But not only that, what if you wanted to open your own website, you know? What if you have your website up and then you have these service providers who say, hey, if you want any of my customers to be able to see this website, you have to pay me X amount of money. And this service provider says, you have to pay me X amount of money, X amount of money, X amount of money. You have to pay these people so that their customers can see your website. If you get what I'm saying here, that means that it's going to be extremely difficult for newcomers to the internet to be able to afford anything, because these mainstream websites, which are much more popular than any new website you could be coming out with, are going to completely trample you. It's making the internet an almost impossible place for the small guys to grow. It's making the internet a controlled environment dictated entirely by your service provider. It's just making you an item and the service provider to do whatever they want with you. What do you plan to do after watching this video? You want to check Facebook? Well, maybe you can't. Maybe your service provider doesn't want you to. Or maybe they want you to pay them a certain amount of money to do that. Want to go to a certain news website, you have somebody that you trust? Well, maybe your service provider doesn't want you to go to them right now. Maybe they want you to pay a lot of money to go there. Want to go somewhere else? Maybe you can't go there either. Maybe you can only go where the service provider wants you to go. Maybe then you can only learn what the service provider wants you to learn. There would be drastic effects from net neutrality being abolished. All the way from having fun on certain websites and being able to do whatever you please, to information itself being controlled and people being told whatever the network providers want them to be told, and only having access to whatever the network providers want them to have access to. On December 14th, a vote will be made. If the vote is to abolish net neutrality, freedom as we know it on the internet will no longer exist. You will not be able to freely roam and choose whatever website you please to go to. It will be completely in the hands of the network provider. You can kiss your freedom goodbye. Now, I may not have explained all of that perfectly. I am not the net neutrality expert guy by any means. I could have gone and studied into this subject a lot more, but I really don't have time. It is December 11th for me, and on December 14th, this vote is going to be made, and I know I am making this at the last minute. It's probably going to be published after December 11th even, which means that you have even less time to act if this is the first time you are even hearing about net neutrality. But luckily, there are ways for you to act. So I'm going to put some links below, some things that you can do to help with this issue. I'm probably going to have to rip off Markiplier a little bit in his description for this. So if you do look in the description and it seems a little similar to some of the links he had there, I'm sorry about that, Markiplier. I'm really not trying to steal your work there, but I am really last second with this, and I really do think it's important for you guys to be able to take action here. I'm sorry I'm so scrambled in my speech and I kind of seem a little weird probably. It's actually really late. I have to get up for work soon. And I decided that this was important enough to get a little bit of sleep for. Even when I was so tired I was falling asleep already, I felt like it was important enough to get up and talk to you guys about this, because I would not feel right in not taking a part in something that is so important and that will so drastically affect all of us here. The internet is a very beautiful place because of the freedom we have here, because of the ability to do and go where we please. If we don't have freedom on the internet, then what do we have? And where are you going to go if you just want to, I don't know, laugh and have fun? Or where are you going to go if you actually want to learn something serious? Where are you going to get your info from? What are you going to do? That will no longer be up to you if net neutrality is to be abolished. If you care about your freedom on the internet and your free will to do as you please on the internet, then it is very important for you to get involved. And I ask you to please take action in some way. As I said, I provided links for you to do so. Probably ripped a lot off of Markiplier. Go ahead and check out his videos. A lot more planned out, a lot better worded than mine has been so far. But like I said, I wouldn't feel right if I didn't at least try to get the word out about this issue a little bit more. And remember, since this can be a confusing subject, net neutrality is the law itself that is protecting these things. What is under attack is the law. The FCC, the chairman of the FCC, Ajit Pai, I can't say his name well, wants to abolish this. And actually, he worked for Verizon back in 2001 up to 2003. You know, I'm not sure how much it has to do with this, but it does seem a little bit weird. Anyway, I do wish this video was a lot better put together than it was. It was kind of really loosely organized. I kind of just turned the camera, started firing off. And like I said, I don't know everything about this issue, so I encourage you to learn as much as you can about it. But I do hope that if you've never heard of it, that I've now sent you on your way to learn more about this and to get involved, because this is extremely, extremely important. It's going to affect all of us, and I had to do something. I hope that you feel the same way. And there are a lot of us here on the internet. Remember that. If we come together and make a statement, it carries a lot of weight. If you care about freedom on the internet, we have to keep net neutrality. And we have to tell Ajit Pike that this law isn't going anywhere. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this extremely poorly constructed video. I hope you learned a little bit about this issue. I hope that on December 14th, we don't lose everything the internet stands for. December 14th also happens to be my birthday, so that would be a pretty depressing birthday. Anyway, thanks so much for watching this video. If you'd like more people to see this video and learn about net neutrality, feel free to give it a like or comment, even subscribe to the channel, but you don't have to do any of those things. I'm really this video, I really do care about this issue in net neutrality, so feel free to share this video if you'd like. It would help a lot. But any way that you can help educate people about this very important subject will be greatly appreciated, because we need all of the help that we can get. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video, which I hope isn't about net neutrality being abolished. And as always, have a fantastic day.